Hi, my name is Terry Lee from Sweet Pea Papers and the Facebook group. And of course, you're watching Sweet Pea Papers YouTube channel. That's what you're doing right now. A friend of mine told me to record everything you do because you never know when your proto will turn into a primo, which is a primo example or a project. So here I am. Okay, so I'm starting out so far with 2 manila folders. Okay, they're labeled right now, but I don't want to label them yet. So pretend like there are no letters or numbers or anything on here. So the first thing that I did, I'll do it to the second one, is I cut it down to 8 inches high by turning it sideways in my paper trimmer and then measuring 8 inches, and that effectively cuts the tabs off. You're still going to have this teeny little round notch. Let me get that against the gray. There were little round notch in this corner, and it's okay with me. I don't care. So we're then going to fold the folder in half gently. We're not going to fold it all the way. We're going to just make enough of a crease that we know where the center is. And then somehow I'm embracing this not measuring thing. Let me stand up. Actually, I can see it better on this end. Oh, my ruler fell on the floor. I couldn't figure out what hit my foot. I thought maybe the dog was in here. Okay, so it looks like about here. I'm going to score it down. Remember to use the flatter side. You know, tip it this way a little bit. And use the bone folder that came with your scoreboard. Because then you know for sure that this part right here fits in between. Now we're going to, it only goes so far. So we're going to turn it around. And we're going to continue from this all the way up to the end. So that the whole thing has a score line. You're going to want to go up and down it several times because manila folders are thicker. So we're going to do the whole thing. Okay. So then we're going to fold it back up the way it came from the factory minus the tabs. And then we're going to go ahead and fold it in half, where the score mark is, and I'm trying to keep it from cracking. And then we're going to burnish it and do it several times to get it down good. Okay. Now we're going to go back to this folder as if it was this first one that we did. So what I did next, and I did it by accident, but I think it's going to work anyway. I'm willing to go with the flow since it's a prototype. Right now it's a prototype. So I opened it up and I was going to just cut this line right here. So here's the seam from the factory. Here's our middle up and down. We've opened the folder up. All right. And what I meant to do was just to cut it here so that when it closes, this part opens and closes like a page, but I accidentally cut the whole thing off across and down. So I took my micropore tape, my brown, and I taped this back together only with a little gap in here, and that will give us a little bit of playroom when we fold it back over. It'll be more like a book. So we're going to leave this one still cut. When we cut this one, we're going to tape it back together with a little bit of a gap. All right. Then you kind of want to rub your finger in the gap, flip it over, do the same on the other side. Now, if you want to skip this step, it's quite all right because I did it by accident. Then you can. and just cut this one. So remember, what that does is fold it in half. It basically gives us a page. All right. So then what we're going to do is we're going to fold it back shut, and then I noticed that this isn't exactly folded in half, because as you can see, that back one is sticking out a little more. This would be why it's called a prototype. That one's the same way. Okay, so this is 5 3/4, the short side. So let's see what we can do about this. So if I put it in here and I line the shorter side up with the line, then I should see. Having a little fun maneuvering here. Then I should be able to, if I have titanium blades, which I do, to cut them off even. And that would have been, what, 5 3/4? Let's double check and see what we came up with. Five 3/4. Okay, so we fold this in half. So we want it to be the same. So we're going to put it at 5 3/4. Whatever's left on either side, we're going to cut off. That way they're both the same. Yes, these are small enough scraps you can throw them away. I give you my permission. Okay, so now I haven't decided what we're going to do with the second one yet, other than we're going to glue them together. So, and that will make another page, because we're going to cut this one the right way, and then it will make a pocket and another pocket, and make 2 pockets, right? And then another page, and then a back page, and then another page. So we're going to basically have a manila folder book, and I am thinking maybe if we cut this one here, like we should have cut the other one, then that'll give us an extra page again. So let's just cut it along the factory fold. This is our scored fold. We're just going to cut until we get to the scored fold in the middle. So we're just going to cut. Okay. So now that gives us, oh, I cut the wrong one, didn't I? That's all right. It still gives us another page. Okay, and then if we glue this to this, all right, this is going to be, let's take a minute here. With them folded, we're going to number them and letter them. This is going to be folder B. I've already labeled this one folder A, and label it as the cover, because it's going to end up being the cover. All right. So then we've got okay. Yep. Okay. So A4 and A6 are not going to matter. but we're going to go ahead and number it, fold it in half, make it folder A. A1 is going to be the cover. You can write cover on there. Then you're going to open it up and label A2 and A3. Then you're going to open it again and you're going to label it A4 and A5, A6 and A7. And then on the back is going to be A8. Like you fold it up like the book, you got A2, A3. When you open it up, the back of A3 is A7. So you have 4, 5, 6, 7. And then what's going to be the very back is A8. But it's not going to be the very back. So don't write back on it. I thought I wrote back on one of them. Maybe not. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we've got another flap like the first one. We're not going to glue anything together because we are going to micropore tape all the edges. Okay, and then from there we're going to probably make a third folder. This is going to be a page. Oh no, that's the page. Then we could glue these two together and make the double pocket. And then we'll have a page here. Oh yeah, this is going to work out. Okay, I am going to tape everything up and then we will come back and keep going. Okay, we're back. Everything is taped and that took forever. This is what your folder should look like. It should be all taped on all the seams, the front and the back and everywhere. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to glue them together, making several pockets. So we're going to glue the edge of B6 to the edge of B4, and that will allow us to bend these as pages without bend this as a page without things coming out. Okay, so that's the first thing we're going to do. You know, all that beautiful taping going to waste. Now this tape is made of cloth, so you may want to put a little bit of extra glue on there to account for it kind of soaking in a little bit. So you want to glue these two together. Make sure it's all straight. Okay, so now that gives you B1, B2, B3, close this over, B4 or B7 and B5. Okay, and I think I could glue this over a little bit more. Didn't go close enough to the edge. Now this tape makes it harder to fold as well. And try to be consistent when you tape it. Like, do all the verticals first and then do the horizontals, or vice versa. Dry baby wipe. I'm only going to mention it once in this video because I think I mentioned it in the other videos. Okay, so now you're going to also want to make a pocket here. You have to decide whether you want it to be a side pocket or a top pocket, and I'm going to make it a side pocket. So I'm going to glue the tops together right here. Now, as you know, and I told you before, I'm just doing this along with you. You know what I mean? I kind of am planning as I go along, so I'm kind of improvising. So now we have a pocket here, and the inside is got the tape so it looks nice. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing over here. You got your page that folds over, then you got B5, and you're going to take B8, and you're going to glue it to A1, and you're going to do it as a pocket. So what you're going to do is you're going to glue this back edge and the sides, but not this outside. Okay? So we're going to glue the sides. That way we don't lose our pages. And we want a pocket, so make sure that you're gluing at the edge, oops, and not like that, so that you have the most room in your pocket that you can get. Then you're going to glue these together and make that pocket. Make sure they're lined up. Looks like I missed trimming a little bit of tape somewhere here. Okay. And that should give us that page as well. So it's like a small book. Now, I'm going to stop here as the end of video 1 because I haven't decided what I want to do next. So we've got this flipping out. Let's do that. Let's not glue this. Let's have this flip down. That would be interesting. Oops, let me get in frame here. I don't. Yeah, plus my groceries are here. So let me double check what we got going on, and then we'll call this the end of video 1, and then we will pick up where we left off in video 2. So that'll be just a second for you and a day for me. Bye-bye. Okay, we're back from that little break, and that's why the camera jumped ahead to the future, because I was going to end at just a minute ago, but then I realized it was only 18 minutes, and so we could do some other stuff and still be okay on time. Now I lost what I was looking at. Anyway, oh, they're up here. Okay. I wanted to, because we didn't do it before. That's the difference right there. Okay. Since we didn't really go over the kit before, I wanted to show you this, and it's called Spring Mist, and it's by Artie Mays. I love her stuff. It's just gorgeous. So I chose this to be the front page and the back page. And what I did was, this actually overlaps just a little bit like that. But I decided I had to print out 2 of this paper, and then I cut one from the right side over to make the front cover, and to make the back cover I measured from there to there and cut it on the left side instead of the right side like you normally do. So I flipped the picture over. Okay. The other thing I wanted to show you is these are printed as print to page, like stretch it to fit the page. And so if you look at this one, you can see how some of this flower is missing. Let me show it to you this way. Some of the flower is missing, and that blue is not there. Anyway, and so the only problem I had was that it wasn't tall enough, even though it wasn't this one. Okay, it was this one. You can see it's too small. Now, if I was in England and was printing out on what, A4, A5 paper, then it would be hunky-dory, but I'm not. So, or sometimes the United States people, which I think Artie Mays is from the U.S., they have like a different size, and it'll have a bigger border on the top and the bottom. And so if you print it out where you don't fit it to the page, where it looks like this when you get done printing it out, and it's got this big border here and the big border there, you get the whole picture, but you miss out on things being the right size. Okay, so for the inside pages, I think will be okay. So anyway, here are the pages that are in the kit. It's very, very pretty. And butterflies, and there's some pretty flowers. Here we go. And then we get down to these. I can't do it because there's not enough of them. Yeah, and then there's that one, which I was tempted to use that as the cover with the butterfly. And then there's that one. Then we have a set of pages that are, these are all backing papers. And I thought this one would be all right as a backing paper as well, even though it's got writing all over it. And it's in French. But this one's very pretty. I like this one. And this one's pretty. This one's very nice, very pretty. This is a great backing paper. And this is another backing paper. So you have quite a few that you can print on the back, use to print on the backs of the others. And then there's also included are these writing pages. And now I wanted to talk to you for a second about, oh, and then there's a ton of ephemera. There's more tags and cards and stuff than you could ever use. So the thing I wanted to talk to you about was printing on both sides. When you have what's going to be like a writing paper, you don't want it to just be white on the back. And if you don't want to glue coffee dyed paper to the backs of everything, just double print on the back. So we've got the paper with the lines on the front. We fold that in half, and then we want something pretty on the back side. Now I could have printed these with the stripes, but I hate when I try to do the rear printing when I don't do it all at once. I have a printer that will print both sides at the same time, but if I've already printed something out and I have to put it back in the printer and run it through, 9 times out of 10 it comes out upside down. It does not matter what I do. It doesn't like me. It doesn't like me at all. So anyway, here's some line pages, and I've printed them on both sides, which I'm not really sure. There was a little paper around here that said that, but I thought I saw it go flying. Okay. So now the other thing is that the final pages. Oh, I was going to talk. Sorry. When I was trying to decide what color to ink with, I ended up, believe it or not, because of the color around the edges, and it kind of made the brighter colors kind of pop a little bit more. I ended up using pumice stone, which seems like it would be an awfully dark color for this, but it's actually like a green gray, and so it goes on here really nicely. Yeah, it says use this one but this is the one I believe. Alright, I'll figure it out. I knew I shouldn't have gotten that extra one out. Anyway, it's the one that cuts off the picture. It's this one. This one goes back in there. Alright, anyway, so that's the front and the back pictures that I've selected. I wanted to make it look like it's all one thing. And the other thing I wanted to talk to you about when I was telling you about the ink, I've actually started using more than one color in my projects because, you know, there are parts that may be accented differently, like a lighter version of the same thing or whatever, and your color that you're using could be too strong. So what I did was, along the edge of this paper where the white is I took, pretend like this is on here, and then I just took the different ink colors and I inked along the edge of the paper in the different colors to see which one complemented these flowers the most. Now I know that sounds silly and it sounds kind of basic or whatever, but and I do have a swatch chart where I made a little color and put the name next to it, but sometimes that's kind of hard to tell as well. So I ended up going with the pumice stone and then tea dye. Tea dye is a little bit lighter than vintage photo, and it's a little bit darker than let's see, antique linen is darker, and yeah, it's the middle one. Let's just put it that way. It's the middle one between vintage photo, then there's this, and then there's the other dark one. Oh my gosh, my brain is just not working today. Alright, so let's look at my list here. Print both sides. Yeah, and print the back of your note pages with it neutral. Unless you can get yours to work right to where they're right side up, then you can go ahead and print more lines on the back. But I was afraid I would end up with these flowers, you know, up here on the top, which I guess it wouldn't have mattered. This one it would have. Yeah, see, and this one it would have as well. So anyway, so I just printed neutral on the back. Okay. Oh, I wanted to also show you with the book itself. Why are these not the same size? They should be. That one's a little bit bigger. Okay. Anyway, so I discovered that first of all, I discovered I glued mine a little crooked. You see how that one's a little crooked in? But it's okay. It's in the back, because what I did was I flipped the book over so that the front was the back and the back was the front. I liked it better this way anyway, the layout. So this is what we ended up with once we glued the two together. And I also found there was a spot in here that I didn't tell you to glue, or I didn't say that you were supposed to glue it because I forgot, and I ended up with an open pocket, and so I fixed that. So we ended up with the cover and page 1 and page 2. Yes, I redid the lettering once we got it in the book. And then page 3, page 4, there's a pocket, but look what we ended up with. We ended up with a double pocket. Ta-da! And then page 5, page 6, 7, and then 8 has a single pocket in it, and then the back. All right, so 8 pages plus the front and the back. That's a decent sized little book. All right, so before we put the covers on, I am going to use Bookmaker's twine to make my strings to tie it shut, because I have a feeling, because it's manila folder folded over, Even though we used the bone press and burnished it quite a bit, it still seems to kind of want to stick open a little bit. So I'm going to put a tie on it. Now we'll need to do that first, and I kind of want to do it in the middle, and I'm thinking about there. So let's see. Let's see if I put the 0 there. What do I get? 4 and 4. I'm thinking right there. Tim Holt's ruler says the same thing. Okay, so you want to mark where you're going to glue. And if any of you have seen me do this before, I have this crazy method. I want to make sure that I have enough, because I always end up short. So this is going to go here, and it'll be on the back. How much do I need? Probably that much on either side. So I'm going to do this much and then double it, and then add a skosh, just because I'm always wrong. So then I'm going to cut this off, and I'm not going to cut this in half yet. And I don't remember if I showed you what the micropore tape looks like. It just comes in a roll. It's medical tape, and you can get it in white and brown. And I think you might be able to get it in black, but that's the athletic tape, and so I'm not sure that it's just this matte finish. You can get this on Amazon. Just do a lookup for micropore, M-I-C-R-O-P-O-R-E, and you'll find it there. So we're going to get out our glue. I got some art glitter glue, but for some reason it makes me nervous because it kind of dries fast, super fast. Let's get this glued on pretty good. Okay. We'll let that dry for just a second. Yeah, I did talk about the difference between that. And yeah, we cut and we inked, and then we have to there was something else. While that's drying, I was going to talk to you about something else. The measurements of the book itself is 5 3/4 by 8. When you measure your papers, unless you just hold it up there and make a mark on there and do the eyeball method, if you're a measurer with rulers, then it's going to be 5 1/2 by 7 3/4, and that's to leave you 1/8 of an inch on either side, around your papers. So that's what those measurements are. Those measurements will all be in the PDF file. Okay, so I got that one. I'm going to take the end of this one, run it around straight, and then glue this one to this side. And wait for that to dry. So let's see. Oh, the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is if you're going to put writing paper in the pockets, or if you're going to make a card. So I've got some brown cardstock, actually craft paper, not the kind that kids play with, but the craft paper from like the office supply section. Not construction paper, craft paper. And then I have some coffee dyed papers. And so I could make a rectangle and put coffee dyed paper on it, and that would be a real pretty card for this. Or you can use your writing pages for that, or you could do both. You could add them in. Let's let that dry a little bit more. And I want to also talk to you about the ephemera. Now, you might print out the ephemera and then just start cutting away at it. Woohoo, ephemera! But like these tags, you're going to want to print something. You want something on the back. And if you don't want to put coffee dyed paper on coffee dyed paper and coffee dyed paper on all these little cards and tags and things, then stick them in your printer. Take the lightest of the generic pages, the backing papers, and print it on the back of all of these. If you have HP Instant Ink, you'll be fine. They'll send you ink when you get done doing all that. But you'll love me for it later. All of these little cards will have backing paper on them, and it will look much neater. Yes, these will get backing paper on the back of them in their pockets, so they don't need it. But that's all right. You get the other stuff covered up that way. Okay. Now, our glue is fairly dry. So then I'm just going to take the string and pull it out, and then cut it in half. And now I have my tie. So now going back to the cover, I have things crash banging around all around me. Because everything is not in its place, and there's a place for everything, and so it's making me crazy. Also, I have a new coffee pot, and so I've been drinking coffee out of my new coffee pot, and I think I'm a little caffeine crazy. Yeah, that's going to be pretty. So let's put this on there. Oh yeah, I was saying about that art glitter glue. Boy, that stuff, it holds really well. The only thing that makes me nervous is it dries like instantaneously. Once you put the page on the page, if you're not exactly right, well, boy, howdy, you're in trouble. So I think for small stuff, not like a page that I might need to move around a little bit, but you know, if I'm gluing ephemera onto something like making a cluster or something like that, then I think that it would be fine. For other things, it just makes me nervous because it dries so fast. Now, this I can move it around a little bit for just a few seconds in case, you know, I wanted to make the edges more even or whatever, but that looks straight. So on the back, first we're going to get our ties out of the way. I know watching me glue paper is probably like watching paint dry, but you got to put them on there, so might as well put them on there. And I like doing the front and the back if I can, because it makes me feel like I'm working on a real book, because it's got a cover that makes it real. If it doesn't have a cover. Now see that natural, little bit darker shading around the edges? So I just did that pumice stone, and look, it looks really nice around there. It's not charcoal and it's not black. It's like a gray green. Okay, and I believe that's all we're gonna do for video 1, and I will see you in the next video, which will be video 2, and that'll be just a second for you and a day for me. Bye bye.